The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition. The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Premier is once again showing his hypocrisy towards the City of Winnipeg by announcing an independent fiscal review of the city's operations. The single greatest factor in the provincial government's reducing the deficit is that the federal government has increased transfers by hundreds of millions of dollars in new funding every year. After a half-decade of frozen federal funding under the Conservatives, the City of Winnipeg has a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure deficit on roads, bridges, sewers and water treatment that have been largely ignored by provincial governments for years. And in addition to these costs, this government is clawing back and denying funding to the city. If the Premier goes ahead with this study, is he going to make sure that his own government's cancellations of funding programs and reneging on budget commitments are included for consideration?
The Honourable First Minister.
Okie dokie, Madam Speaker. What we have here is a situation where the member wants to praise the federal government for helping us. Fine, I'm happy to take help from the federal government, and I thank the federal government for their support. But they are not the only reason that this government has reduced the growth of debt, which would have occurred in this province under the NDP in just 3 years by $5 billion. Wow. That's this government. City of Winnipeg.
Order.
It's a tremendous accomplishment, Madam Speaker, and I know the members opposite understand that and are fearful of it, but they should not be, because it benefits Manitobans. It actually reduces our debt service costs by close to, each year, and on a sustainable basis, $200 million less of debt service costs.
Wow.
So we're going in the right direction, Madam Speaker. We'll work with Ottawa when they're right. They're wrong on a few things, but they're right on some too. And we'll keep working in partnership with them, just like we will the City of Winnipeg.
The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition on a supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We know the City of Winnipeg has incredibly serious issues because there is an ongoing criminal investigation into the construction of the police headquarters. A fire hall was built on land the city didn't own. Audits found the administration misled council, and a profitable city parkade was sold off for pennies on the dollar. These resulted in multi-million-dollar cost overruns for the city, yet the Premier is, once again, turning a blind eye to those issues. There is already an investigation into a few inspectors slacking off at work, but the Premier is going to launch a review of his own into permits and approvals. That seems like small potatoes compared to putting a fire hall on land you don't own. Now, I don't want to think the worst of people, Madam Speaker. What may seem malicious can also be explained by sheer incompetence. Is the Premier afraid to call an inquiry into these events because it might prove embarrassing for his political allies?
The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, I'm not going to hold it against the member. After all, this is his first job. But the fact remains that foisting incompetence on other people when you fail to demonstrate any competence in your own life is not a wise thing to do. I would encourage the member to be generous in his appraisals of the city's performance. I am. We are going to work with the city to make sure that they're able to manage their expenditure side of their balance sheet a little bit better and get better value for money out of the inspection process. We're going to take over the investigation because that's the right thing to do. It should be done at arm's length from the city itself. We'll build on the work they've done initially, and we will encourage the member to understand that a better inspection process done in a timely manner is a way to build our economy, which is good for Winnipeggers and good for all Manitobans as well. It creates jobs that he has never done, but many Manitobans would like to be doing.
Yeah. The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition on a final supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Premier has made a habit of meddling in the affairs of others. Even his budget document lectures other levels of government should act exactly as the province is. There are key differences, Madam Speaker. One is that other levels of government recognize they actually have to invest to grow and lay the foundation of a better economy, something this government doesn't. The other is that other levels of government, unlike the Premier, are not being offered hundreds of millions of dollars in new funding every year. The Premier is continually trying to micromanage Crown corporations to the point that board members quit or tell other levels of government what they should be doing. It took this Premier 18 months to sign a health accord for which we gained nothing. He's left $1 billion in funding on the table. Has it occurred to him he could get more done if he spent his time running his own government instead of trying to run others?
The Honourable First Minister.
There isn't adequate time to respond to the inadequacies in that preamble, Madam Speaker. The fact is that the member throws stones from a house extremely made of glass. Attacking someone's integrity is not a strategy of any kind. The fact is that our government is getting results.
Order.
Attacking someone's integrity is not a strategy one should employ, Madam Speaker, when one is frequently in this House defending a federal Liberal government that has tried to circumvent the rule of law, that has caused the resignation or firing of people who have stood up for the rule of law, that has demonstrated incompetence and poor management on a number of files, Madam Speaker, that has demonstrated its complete inability to actually fulfill its promises. Now, Madam Speaker, we're keeping our word. The members opposite broke theirs, and I think Manitobans understand that distinction.
Here.